Now coming to antiemetics, which is very important regarding this topic, that is antiemetics. How we control the process of vomiting, So that is known as antiemetics. By the use of antiemetics, we can control the process of vomiting or the emesis. So the antiemetics can be classified into different groups. First of all, anticholinergic drugs. Anticholinergic drugs means those drugs which inhibit the combining of acetylcholine to their specific muscarinic receptors. So they are known as anticholinergic drugs. Anticholinergic drugs, you know that we have discussed in the autonomic nervous system when we were discussing about the parasympathetic autonomic nervous system. Under that heading, cholinomimetic drugs, adrenergic drugs we have discussed. Now sympathetic and parasympathetic. So this is the parasympathetic nervous system having the neurotransmitter that is known as acetylcholine. So anticholinergic drugs are those which inhibit the combining of acetylcholine with their specific muscarinic receptor. So the most important antiemetic under this heading is nothing but the hyoscine. Which is also known as scopolamine, and you know that we have discussed in detail in that topic under the heading of parasympathetic anticholinergic drugs, that is the atropine and scopolamine. Now scopolamine, which is also known as hyoscine, or hyoscine is also known as scopolamine. This is the most important anticholinergic drug, most effective in the motion sickness. I told you that some person, they have the sickness when they are traveling either by road, by air, or any other media of transportation. So this is known as motion sickness. Now hyoscine or scopolamine is the drug of choice in the case of motion sickness. Now how we can use, in which form, in which concentration? 0.2 to 0.4 milligram orally or intramuscularly. Duration of action 4 to 6 hours. Causes sedation. 4 to 6 hours is the duration of action. Now again, if you remember that point in which I have told you that if your traveling is more than 6 hours, so you have to take the other dose after 6 hours to control your process of vomiting. So because it is having the duration of action only 4 to 6 hours. Now this hyoscine blocks. What is the mechanism of action of this hyoscine? How it can act as anti-vomiting drug. This hyoscine blocks the conduction of nerve impulse from vestibular apparatus. What is vestibular apparatus? Because in the last slide, when we are discussing about this emetic, process of emetic by the figure, I have told you that ear is also responsible for this process of emesis, because when there is imbalancing takes place in the inner membrane of the ear, that is labyrinthine layer, so automatically there is the impulse arises, enters into the brain, and they causes the vomiting. Now, so that's why the mechanism of action of this drug, it blocks the conduction of nerve impulse from vestibular apparatus. Now vestibular apparatus, the inner ear involved in the balancing, having bony structure, the inner ear and semicircular canals, that is, there is a balance between the inner ear and the semicircular canals. In the ear, when there is imbalancing arising between these two, there is start of the start of the vomiting. So we have to balance this by means of this hyoscine, and then there is action of this hyoscine on the vomiting center, and then there is control of vomiting on the emesis. Now vestibular labyrinth made of semicircular canals. I told you that vestibular labyrinth present in the vestibular apparatus, that is semicircular canals. The vestibular labyrinth made of semicircular canal contains receptors for vestibular sensation, and tubes filled with fluid, that is vestibular sensation. This component is made up of semicircular canals which contains the receptor. Now these receptors are responsible for the vestibular sensation, and tubes filled with the fluid responsible to transfer the sound signals to the brain, So when there is imbalancing takes place, there is no proper sound signals enters into the brain, and brain then gives an impulse. That impulse enters into the medulla oblongata, where there is vomiting centers are there, and they inhibit that process, that is the process of emesis or the vomiting. Now next drug is the dicyclomine. Dicyclomine, that is 10 to 20 milligram, orally used as prophylactically for motion sickness. Now what do you mean by prophylactically for motion sickness? Prophylactically for motion sickness means that before at least half hour or 1 hour you have to take before traveling, that is half hour or 1 hour before traveling, you have to take the drug to stop the sickness that is known as motion sickness, to stop the process of emesis or the vomiting. So in this way, prophylactically means that prophylactically we use this drug 10 to 20 milligram orally for motion sickness. When we take this drug, because if we take the drug by mouth or orally, it has to enter into the GIT. It takes the time to absorb, to enter into the blood circulation, and also to show its effect, Now next is the cinnarizine. Cinnarizine, it's an anti-vertigo drug. It's an anti-vertigo drug. Now what is vertigo? Vertigo is a symptom rather than a condition. It is a symptom rather than a condition. In this case, the person feels that everything is spinning. The person feels that everything is spinning. Now vertigo, it is the condition that is rather than, it is a symptom rather than a condition, because in this case, most of the person, they feel the vertigo. Vertigo is that in which the person feels that everything is spinning around him or herself. Everything is spinning around him or herself, and the person is unable to keep the balance. The person is unable to keep the balance. That is the sign known as vertigo. Now what is the sign of vertigo? That is dizziness, then feeling of moving or spinning. I have just told that in vertigo, person feels that everything is moving around around himself or herself. So that is known as spinning, and this spinning is also responsible for the imbalancing of the person himself. Now this causes the sign and symptom is dizziness, feeling of the moving of the spinning, problem of focusing the eye. It is the problem that person cannot focus the vision. So problem of focusing the eye, hearing loss in one ear or both of the ear. So balance problem. So whenever there is vertigo, there is imbalancing occurs between the two parts, that is labyrinthic part and that which is the canal of that, and there is imbalancing when takes place. That is known as balancing problem, and this imbalancing also responsible for the process of vertigo. Ringing in the ear. Ringing in the ear means that, you know that what do you mean by ringing in the ear? यानी कान में ऐसी आवाज़ आती है जैसे कोई घंटियाँ बज रही हैं या कोई सीटियाँ बज रही हैं. That is known as ringing sound in the ear. So this ringing sound in the ear usually appears in case of vertigo. Right? So ringing in the ear. Sweating is also another sign of that vertigo. Nausea and vomiting. So nausea and vomiting is also the sign of the vertigo, because in case of vertigo there is nausea and vomiting takes place. So again, now coming to the mechanism of action. Now mechanism of action is that how this drug shows its action. It acts by inhibiting the calcium ions. Now calcium ions plays an important role. The calcium ions forms endolymph. It is formed from endolymph into the vestibular sensory cells. They mediate libranthine reflexes and controls the vestibular disorder. Because we are discussing the antiemetic drug. So we have to discuss all these drugs which act upon the vestibular apparatus, which act upon the central chemoreceptor zone, which act upon the center of the vomiting. So all these drugs, they are known as antiemetic drugs. They causes the inhibition of the emetics, right? So the vestibular sensory cells, they mediate libranthine reflexes and control the vestibular disorders, example vertigo. So this drug controls the vestibular disorder, that is vertigo, nausea, vomiting. Also used in motion sickness. It's sedative. What do you mean by sedative? Means it causes the sedation due to the suppression of the central nervous system. There is sedation because if you observe or if you go through to have this motion sickness drugs or the antiemetic drugs, to use these antiemetic drugs, after a few minutes, you becomes drowsy, and that is due to the sedative effect of the drugs. But it is less than the other drugs. Such as hyoscine or scopolamine. Next is the cyclosine mechanism. It's long-acting drugs. Now, long-acting drugs means they are having the long duration of action, that is at least 24 hours of duration. So, due to their long action, they can be used in case of seasickness. Means that those persons who travels from the ship or the sea through the by means of ship or using any other boats type. So they are having the motion sickness. In that case, that is due to this seasickness, they can be used certain drugs which are having long duration of action, that is at least 24 hours. This is nothing but the cyclosine and mechanism. These are the long duration antiemetic drugs. Now third is the neuroleptics. That is the potent antiemetic drugs. They act by blocking the D2 receptor, that is dopamine receptors in the chemoreceptor trigger zone, having antimuscarinic effect, that is blocking the muscarinic receptor, and actual antihistaminic properties. Histamine also responsible for the process of emesis, so due to inflammation. So there is actual antihistaminic drugs. So these are the neuroleptics, means they particularly act in the brain. So that's why that is they inhibit the impulse transmission by acting on the D2 receptor in the central chemoreceptor trigger zone, antimuscarinic effect, antimuscarinic drugs, and H1 the antihistaminic drugs that is having this type of activities or the properties. So they use broad spectrum antiemetics. So that's why, because they act upon various receptors in the brain. So that's why they are known as the broad spectrum antiemetics. Which drugs can be used as a broad spectrum? That is neuroleptic drugs, because they act upon D2 receptor, They act upon the muscarinic receptor, they act upon the H1 receptor. So that's why they are known as broad spectrum antiemetics. They are known as broad spectrum antiemetics. Now, drug induced and post anesthetic nausea vomiting. Secondly, they can be used in case of drug induced and post anesthetic nausea vomiting. You know that when the anesthesia is given to the patient for general surgery, that is general anesthetics are there, they have to be used to control all the centers of the body, relaxes the muscles, that is the property of the general anesthetics. This causes the suppression of the nervous system. So post anesthetic means that after anesthesia, when patient slowly and gradually comes out from the anesthetic condition, from anesthesia, there is the feeling of nausea, and sometimes patient shows the vomiting. So in this case, the neuroleptic drugs are the best drugs to use to inhibit the vomiting after anesthesia. That is when patient comes out from the anesthesia. Disease-induced vomiting. Disease-induced vomiting means that there are certain diseases which causes the vomiting, particularly when there is irritation of the GIT by means of bacteria and viruses. There is vomiting takes place. So there again neuroleptic can be used to inhibit that by means of inhibition of the activity of the vagus nerve. Here there is most important is the antimuscarinic drugs. Now, malignancy associated vomiting. Again, I have just told you that during malignancy, when there is chemotherapeutic agents or chemotherapeutic drugs used, the patient having these chemotherapeutic drugs having various severe side effects, and one of that is the vomiting. That is the treatment of the cancer by means of chemotherapeutic drugs may cause the vomiting. So neuroleptic drugs can be used in this case. Radiation sickness, again it is used in case of cancer patients. Radiation means when there is destruction of the cell or destroying of the cell by means of ultraviolet rays, that is known as radiation. So this radiation causes the sickness, and again patient feels nausea and vomiting, and maybe there is act of emesis. Now the precaution. What is the precaution for using these neuroleptic drugs? Though they are the broad spectrum, but there is certain precaution. Now be careful about this. The precaution is this, that these drugs should not be administered without knowing the cause. Because you have to know what is the cause of emesis, what is the cause of vomiting. Then you can use these broad spectrum antiemetic drugs. Otherwise, without the prescription of a physician, it cannot be used to the patient who are having the vomiting, right? So this is the most important precaution. So D2 blockers, D2 receptor blockers, prochlorperazine. So prochlorperazine is the beta-2 receptor blocker. It is different suppressant. Now different suppressant, again there is involvement of the ear. So when there is impulses comes from the ear due to this part, that is different apparatus, and this different apparatus may be due to the process of vomiting start in this case may be due to the imbalancing. So we have to suppress those impulses which arises from the ear, particularly through the different apparatus. So this drug, prochlorperazine, is the D2 receptor blocker, and it is anti-vertigo, and anti-emetic. It causes, that is this anti-vertigo, anti-vomiting, causes the dystonia. Now what is the dystonia? Dystonia is a movement or the disorder of the muscles, contracts uncontrollably. The dystonia, this means the weakness, tonia means the muscles, that is the power, tonia means the power, dystonia means the decrease in the muscle power or the disorder of the muscle power, and when there is decrease in the power of the muscle, the muscles contracts uncontrollably, causes the body parts to twist involuntarily. So when there is weakness of the muscle, the body parts can be twisted involuntarily, so causes that is known as dystonia. So this is due to this uncontrollably twitching of muscles may cause the abnormal posture. So the most important drug in this case is statin. Most important is the statin. Statin 5 available in the tablet form as 5 mg, 25 mg, and the injection 12.5 mg per ml in the form of injection can be used. Now fourth is the prokinetics. Now what do you mean by prokinetics? Prokinetics means that those drugs which promotes the GIT transit and speeds gastric emptying. Transit means the state. Transit means the state. So these drugs causes the propulsive, increasing the propulsive movement, and there is the speedy gastric emptying. There is speedy gastric emptying. They inhibit the stay of food in the GIT or GIT transit. It speeds the gastric emptying by increasing the propulsive motility of the gut. So due to this, there is increase in the gastric emptying and food not staying in the gut for a long period of time. So immediately it enters into the other parts of the GIT tract, and that is why they are known as prokinetics. An example is the metoclopramide, which effects on upper part of the GIT, also affects on the chemoreceptor trigger zone, antagonizes the D2 receptor, and also 5-hydroxy T3 receptors located in the MTS and the CTZ, increases the acetylcholine. So that's the prokinetic.